Shalom, beloveds of the King. Praise Abba Yahuwah for His grace, His love, and His mercy. And here we are once again coming together to be able to look at our book of Yeshayahu, this prophetic utterances. And we are now really in the exciting pages of the prophecy. From chapters 40 onwards, we really start to, look at Father's heart in when He comes now to really bless and encourage His people. And there's so much that we can glean from these next few chapters, because it's really like Father is zoning in and speaking to His people and bringing His love and bringing His mercy and bringing His encouragement. And so what a beautiful chapter 41 is, and like it's going to be for most of the chapters in the 40s leading into the 50s and into the 60s, as there's just so much that we can get out of these next few chapters. And so we praise Abba Yahuwah for this wonderful utterance of what He is bringing. And so let us pray. Abba Yahuwah, I just want to praise and I just want to thank you, Father. I thank you for this day. I thank you for what you are doing in our lives. I just want to thank you that you are on your throne and that you do mighty and great things. And it's just like you are presenting yourself in this chapter once again, for you to be exalted above the heavens, above the earth, above every other man-made God made with man's hands, or whether they put their trust and their faith in the security of their finances or in jobs or in institutions, whatever it is that we have put our trust and our faith in. Truly, you are wanting to reveal to us in this hour that we are to do nothing but to put our trust and our faith in you and you alone, not the military powers of this world or anything for that matter is going to be able to protect us in the times of the days ahead, except for the fact that we are to be hidden in the ark of your presence. And in that ark of your presence, we are secure and we are covered under the shadow of your wing, close to your heart, in order to be able to hear your comforting words saying to us, know that I am with you. And so I just want to thank you, Father, for these beautiful words of encouragement that you are now encouraging your people with in this time, in this hour, as we are preparing ourselves, going to come into the last month, as we're going to prepare ourselves before we come into our full feasts. And so thank you, Father, that we can read from chapter 41 of the book of Yeshayahu. So let us read. Be silent before me, your coastlands, and let peoples renew their power. Let them come near. Let them speak. Let us come together for right ruling. Wow, how beautiful is the scripture. Because what is He telling you? In the silence, as I was just sitting over here preparing this lesson, in the distance, in the silence of what is around me, in the distance, I thought I heard rumbling, but I wasn't sure. Because here in the Cape, we don't really hear. I mean, we will have rain that will come, but we don't really get a lot of thunder and lightning. And so I was sitting and I could hear this noise rumbling in the distance. And I thought, I even said to Elsie, did you hear that? Is that an earthquake? What is it? What is this rumbling I hear in the distance? Now, when you are in Johannesburg, with all the thunder and the lightning. Whenever there's rain, it comes with thunder and lightning and it's loud, and we are used to electric storms and we are used to noisy storms. But you're in the Cape, you don't really get that. But when you are in the quiet and the still, as I was in the quiet and the still, meditating on these scriptures, it started to get louder, started to come closer. And I still said to Elsie, she eventually came and she said, I'm sure it's thunder. And I said, wow, that is amazing. And the next thing, we switched off all the lights. We went and we stood outside, and we were just in awe of that thunder and of that lightning, and how Abba was trying to, reveal to us this wonderful, magnificent glory in the darkness all around us, in the still, quiet, dark sky. And he is revealing himself in the storm. He's enthroned in the storm. And so when we are still and everything else is quiet, like when you go into the wilderness, into the desert, you can hear yourself breathe. You can hear yourself think. That's why you cannot hide from him in the wilderness, because the wilderness itself has got a deafening almost silence. You don't hear anything. It's not like when we are out in the bush, you hear the crickets and you hear all the little sounds. But when you are in the wilderness, there is silence. And in that silence, we are able to hear Abba Yahuwah's voice. And so listen to what he says. He says, be silent before me, you coastlands. Let the people renew their power. So that was so significant for me, because sometimes in the busyness of our lives, we are not able to charge ourselves. We are not able to renew ourselves because we are just too busy. But when we silence ourselves and be still and come aside, then he comes and he empowers us and he strengthens us. And he says, let them come near. So you see, we are to come near him in the silence and then let them speak. And then we are to whisper those beautiful, sweet words that we are to speak to the Father. Let us come together for right ruling. Let us come together for us to be able to hear his mishpat, his right rulings, his judgments, his ordinances, his divine laws. Let us come together and listen to that which he's got to say. As we speak forth, as we utter our words to him, so we come and we renew ourselves in his power. And that is why we have a look at Psalm 46. Let's go to Psalm 46. Psalm 46, verses 6 to 11, and it says, the nations shall rage, reigns shall topple. He shall give forth his voice. See, it's like this thunder that is in the distance, this thunder that is around us at the moment. He shall give forth his voice. That thunder is his voice. The earth melts. Yahuwah of hosts is with us. When you hear that thunder and you hear that lightning, you know that he's with you. You know that heaven is responding to earth. Yahuwah of hosts is with us. The Eluah of Yaakov is our refuge. Selah. Come. See the works of Yahuwah, the ruins he has wrought on the earth, causing all fighting to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariot with fire. Be still and know that I am Eluah. See, what did the Father have to say to Moses when he was standing at the Red Sea? He had the Red Sea before him. He had the enemy, the Pharaoh and his chariots behind him. And he still said, I will fight for you. Be still. I will fight for you, and you will hold your shalom. And now he says, be still and know that I am Eloah. I'm exalted among nations. I'm exalted in the earth. Yahuwah of hosts is with us. The Eloah of Yaakov is our refuge. See, who do we turn to in that still, quiet place? In that still, quiet place, come aside. Come aside from the noise, is what he says. Be still in my presence, and I will empower you with my strength. We have a look at Habakkuk chapter 2. In Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 20 says, but Yahuwah is in his set-apart hekel. Let all the earth be silent before him. He will silence everything. It was like, can you imagine the silence that there was just at that moment when Yahushua died at the stake, at the cross, when he was impaled, he was crucified. And all of a sudden, there was a darkness in the heavens. And there was like an earthquake, and the heavens opened. And there was a silence where the whole world is going to have to stand silent before him when he arrives. And this is the prayer of Habakkuk, the prophet. Let's listen to what he says from verse 2 to 3. And he says, O Yahuwah, I have heard your report. I was afraid. O Yahuwah, remember your work in the midst of the years. Make it known in the midst of the years. In wrath, remember compassion. Eloah comes from Teman, and the set-apart one from Mount Paran, Selah. His splendor shall cover the heavens, and his praise shall fill the earth. And it says, and the brightness is at the light. He has rays from his hand, and there his power is hidden. Before him goes pestilence, and burning flames goes from at his feet. He shall stand and measure the earth. He shall look and shake the nations, and the ancient mountains are shattered. The heavens and the earth is going to shake at his presence. And he's in the process of shaking heaven and earth. And he shall stand and measure the earth. He shall look and shake the nations, and the ancient mountains are shattered. The age-old hills shall bow. His ways are everlasting. So understand something. He is the one who's going to shake the heavens and the earth. And that's exactly what he does. And this is exactly what he was revealing himself as. He was now revealing himself in the heavens. The heavens were roaring like the Lion of the tribe of Judah that has just roared with all this prophetic work that he just had us do. And the Lion of the tribe of Judah roaring, and now he's roaring in those heavens. He was shaking those heavens, and the thunder and the lightning. And he's displaying himself in his magnificence in the heavens. And the heavens is responding to earth to know that he is there. And how can man even say there is no Yah? You've got to be joking. So let us continue to read. And so we read, who raised up the righteous one from the east and called him to his foot, gave the nations before him and made sovereigns submit to him. He gave them as the dust to his sword and has driven stubble to his bow. Now who is this talking about? This one that is going to be raised up the righteous one. There's only one righteous one, and that is Yahushua. And he's going to come from the east towards the west, and he's going to put his feet on the Mount of Olives, and he's going to bring his elect with him. He's going to gather them from the four corners of the earth, and he's going to put his feet on the Mount of Olives. And he says, who raised up the righteous one from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made sovereigns submit to him. Who are the sovereigns? That's why he says in Psalm 2, kiss the Son, you sovereigns of the earth. And he says, he gave them as the dust to his sword. So he brings his sword, the sword of destruction, the sword that is going to come with the riders on the white horse to bring the judgment upon the earth, as driven stubble to his bow. And we read, and it says, he pursued them, passed over in safety by a path that he had not gone with his feet. Who has performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahuwah, am the first, and with the last I am he. Coastlands see it and fear. The ends of the earth are afraid. They draw near and come. So let's have a look and see. You see, who has performed. That's why he says he's coming from the east, and he's coming with his might and his power, and he's coming with his army, and he's going to come and he's going to judge the nations of the earth. Who is there like him? When he brings his sword, it will make dust, and of all those that are going to stand before him, that are trying to raise themselves up against him. And he says he is the first. I, Yahuwah, am the first, and with the last I am he. So he is the first, and he is with the last. I am he. He is the first, he is the Aleph. He is the last, he is the Tav. So we have a look and we see in Revelation 1 verses 8. Let's go to Revelation 1 verses 8, where he tells us in the book of Revelation, where this is the revelation of Messiah Yahushua, which Elohim gave him to show his servants what has to take place with speed. And so if we look at Revelation 1 verses 8, it says, I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, says Yahuwah, who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. The Almighty is the Almighty El Shaddai. So he says he is the Aleph. He starts with us in Genesis, Bereshit, and he ends with us in Revelation, Hazon. And he is the one that is the Aleph. He is the head. He is the one that provides. He is the provider. His strength. He's the leader. He's the first. He's the crown. He's the one who brings unity. He is the Father. That is the ox. That is the Aleph. He is the Aleph, the symbol of the ox, the strong one, the leader, the crown, the Father, the provider, and the one who is the leader. And he is Almighty El Shaddai, the all-sufficient one. And then if we have a look and we see verses 17 and 18 of Revelation chapter 1, it says, and when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, and he placed his right hand on me, saying, do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. So there we go. Do not be afraid. He is the first and the last. And the living one. I became dead, and see, I am living forever and ever. Amen. And I possess the keys of Sheol and of death. So he's the first, he's the last. So he starts as Aleph in Bereshit, Abba Yahuwah, and then he ends in the book of Revelation as the Tav, in the book of Chazon, Chazon, and that is where it's the revelation of Yahushua, who is the Tav, who is the sign, who is the signature, who is the mark, who is the one that became the sacrifice, who is the one that is the judgments. He brings the judgments. He's the one that restored our covenant. He is our covenant made manifest in the flesh, because he's the Torah made manifest in the flesh. He is our salvation, and he brings the seal. He seals us up. He is our seal. And so praise Abba Yahuwah. That is, he is the first and he is the last. He is the Aleph and he is the Tav. And so the coastlands see it and fear, and the ends of the earth are afraid. Oh, then we end off with Revelation. Let's just end off with Revelation. So let's just have a look at Revelation. Chapter 22, verses 13 to 14. And so if we go to Revelation chapter 22, and he says, I am the Aleph and the Tav. Now you see, the first and the last time, the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. So praise Abba Yahuwah. He is the one that started with us in the book of Bereshit, in the book of Genesis, where we were eating from that tree of life. And he is the one who's going to end with us as the Tav. He was the Aleph with us in the Garden of Eden, eating from the tree of life. And now he will be the Tav, ending with us in the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verses 14, where once again, he's the one who's restored us back into the covenant, where we will obey his commands now and eat from the tree of life. And now he turns around and he says in Isaiah chapter 41, verses 6, everyone helps his neighbor and says to his brother, be strong. Chazak, we need to be chazak. We need to be strong. We need to prevail. We need to be courageous. That is chazak. We are to strengthen each other in our walk with the Father. We are to strengthen each other. We are to pick up each other when we are low, when we are down. When one is low, the other one will be high, to be able to pick that one up. And so we are there for each other. We are there to help each other, to lift up one another. And so we have a look at, we continue to read Isaiah chapter 41, and in verse 7 he says, and the craftsman strengthens the goldsmith. So you see, the craftsman will strengthen the goldsmith. So that is why even in our walk, we all get given different gifts. We all get given different ways of being able to bring giftings into the body, so that we can be there to encourage one another, to uplift one another. He who smooths with a hamper inspires him, who strikes the anvil, saying of the joining, it is good, and he strengthens it with nails, so it does not totter. And so this is all about us being able to strengthen one another, so that we can stand in the days that are ahead. So if our brother is weak, we lift that brother up, we encourage, we speak word into their lives, and we encourage them. And so Isaiah chapter 41, verses 8, now from here, it's the most beautiful scriptures. Verses 8 to 10 is the most beautiful scriptures that the Father would speak to us in a time to encourage us, especially in this time. You know, we were just with people now these last 2-3 days, as we left from Capagalis this afternoon, and even the people that we were with, it was having to come and encourage them and to lift up those feeble hands and to speak life when there has been a place of where one is downtrodden and one feels so low. Then you come like a breath of fresh air, coming with the breath of the Father, in having to speak into people's lives in order to pick them up and encourage them, because there's many. And here is the most encouraging words that the Father could speak to us and say, "But you, Israel, are my servant, Yaakov, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Avram, who loved me." So see, he's speaking to those, the descendants of Avram, who love him. "Whom I have strengthened from the ends of the earth." He will strengthen us, and he's gathered us from the four corners of the earth, and he will strengthen us, brings us back into covenant with him, and called from its furthest parts, and said to you, "You are my servant." You see, are we prepared to be his servants? Are we prepared to be his hands extended? Are we prepared to be his feet extended? Are we prepared to be those that are going to be able to be used for the glory and the honor of his name, to be able to go and be his servants? "I have chosen you and have not rejected you." There you go. We are not rejected. We are embraced. We are loved. We are chosen. "Do not fear, for I am with you." So are any of you going through some hardships at the moment, where you are feeling like you are abandoned, where you are feeling like the Father is so far from you, and he wants to say to you, "I have strengthened you. I have strengthened from the ends of the earth. I have strengthened from the ends of the earth and called from its furthest parts, and said to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you." So I want you to understand today, even though you might be facing some difficulties in your life, even though it seems like Father's deliverance seems to be so far away, I want you to know that he has not rejected you. I want you to know that at the appointed time, he will breathe his life within you. He will bring that wind that will come, that will pick you up on eagle's wings to make you fly and be seated with him in those heavenly places. He says, "Do not fear, for I am with you." So what is there to fear? Are you fearing the things of the economy? Are you fearing the things of the destruction that's coming upon the earth? Are you fearing pestilence and disease? Are you fearing the wars and the rumors of wars, and what are you going to do? Are you fearing the fact that maybe your family members are not where they need to be? He wants you to know, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not look around, for I am your allure. That's why I say we are in a race. We are running our race. Do not look around. Do not look to the left. Do not look to the right. Do not look behind. Keep your eyes focused on him. "I shall fortify you. He shall strengthen you. I shall also help you, and I shall also uphold you with my right hand, with the right hand of my righteousness." So understand, who is going to pick you up? Who's going to lift you up? Who's going to hold you up? He's going to make sure that he's going to uphold you with his righteousness, with my righteousness. And so we have a look and we see in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 6 to 8. Let's just read Deuteronomy chapter 7. He says, "For you are my set apart people. To Yahuwah, you are a set apart people to Yahuwah, your allure. Yahuwah, your allure, has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the peoples on the face of the earth. Yahuwah did not set his love on you, nor chosen you because you were more numerous than any other people, for you were the least of all people. But because of Yahuwah's loving you, and because of him guarding the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahuwah has brought you out with a strong hand. Yahuwah will deliver you with his strong hand, and ransomed you from the house of bondage. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is roaring, breaking the chains of the bondage, breaking those chains over your life, roaring over your life, breaking those chains to be able to make sure that you will come forth into the fullness of the things that he has ordained for your life. And he will deliver you from the hand of the Pharaoh and the sovereign of Mitzrayim. And then let's just read verse 9. And you shall know that Yahuwah your Elohim, he is Elohim, the trustworthy El, God in covenant and loving commitment for 1,000 generations with those who love him and those who guard his commands. Praise Abba Yahuwah. So those who are guarding his commands, those who are fearing him, those who walk with him, he's going to uphold them with his righteous right hand. Let's read Psalm 89, 13 to 18. Let's read Psalm 89. Such a beautiful psalm, Psalm 89. And he says, you have a mighty arm. Your hand is strong. Your right hand exalted. Righteousness and right ruling are the foundations of your throne. Loving commitment and truth go before your face. Wow. Blessed are the people. Now, I want you to have a look at this. This was such a powerful verse to me that it says, righteousness and right ruling are the foundations of your throne. So I ask you, how will we be seated on a throne with Yahushua if we are not walking in righteousness and in his right rulings? How will we be able to be seated with him on a throne? Because at the end of the day, for us to be able to be seated with him on the throne, we need to be able to walk in righteousness and in right ruling. And he says, blessed are the people who know the sounding. They walk, O Yahuwah, in the light of your face. Wow. They will shine forth his glory because they walk in the light of his face. In your name, which name? The name of Yahuwah, they rejoice all day long. And they are exalted in your righteousness. For you are the comeliness of their strength. And by your good pleasure, our horn is exalted. For Yahuwah is our shield. And the set apart one of Israel is our sovereign. Praise Abba Yahuwah. He is our comeliness and our strength. Our strength is in him, and our trust and our faith is in him. And so we read now from verses 41, verse 11, and he says, see, all those who raged against you are ashamed and blush. So you see, all those enemies of yours. So you know what? You need to understand something. Even when we go through difficulties and it seems like the whole hordes of hell are coming against us and there's just one obstacle after the other and it just seems like we're going through such difficulties. And what does he say? He says, see, all those who raged against you are ashamed and blush. They are as non-existent, and the men who strive with you perish. So do not stress, do not be disturbed about those who are going to speak up against you, about those who are persecuting you, about those who want to be able to silence you, about those who speak things against you, because you are willing to stand and walk with Abba Yahuwah. You seek them, but do not find them. Those who struggle with you, those who fight you, are as non-existent as naught. You see, who do we have to fear when Abba Yahuwah is for us? When he is for us, who shall be against us? For I, your Elohim, am strengthening your right hand, saying to you, do not fear, I shall help you. So I tell you, what is there to fear? What is there to fear when we are those who will be able to walk with the Father? Do not fear. He tells you again, do not fear. Now just look in this chapter already how many times he said, do not fear. You worm, O Jacob, you men of Israel, I shall help you, declares Yahuwah, and your Redeemer, the set-apart one of Israel. So what is there to be able to fear, beloveds of the King? What are we to fear when we are those that will be able to walk with Abba Yahuwah? He's the one, the mighty Al. He's El Shaddai, the all-sufficient one. He's the one, the captain. Yahushua is our captain of the army of hosts. He's Yahuwah Tzavaot, who is going to be able to go before us, and he's going to fight our battles on our behalf. That's why he says, be still and know that I am Yah. Be still, be silent before me, and increase your power in me, because when you're silent before me, you will hear the heavens roar. You will hear my roar of where I am going to give you the strength that you need to withstand, to stand before your enemies and not be moved. Stand on the promises that he has already made. Stand on those promises. He says, verse 15, see, I shall make you in a new threshing sledge with sharp teeth. Let you thresh mountains and beat them small and make hills like chaff. So he's going to make you into a threshing instrument. That was the very instrument that separated the chaff from the wheat. So understand, what does he say in Luke chapter 3? Let's just go look at Luke chapter 3. In Luke chapter 3, verses 16 to 17, he says, Yochanan answered, saying to them, he said to them all, I indeed immerse you in water, but one mightier than I is coming. So you see, Yahushua is the one that is coming, whose sandal straps I'm not worthy to loosen. He shall immerse you in the set-apart spirit and fire. So when he immerses you in the set-apart spirit and fire, then you must understand your enemies have got nothing on you. Why? Because he's the one with the winnowing fork in his hand, and he shall thoroughly cleanse his threshing floor. He shall cleanse the threshing floor, and he's going to make you into that powerful threshing tool to be able to separate the chaff from the wheat, and he will use you to be able to destroy those enemies that are going to come up against you. You will be able to be given his authority and power to stand up against all the hordes of hell that are wanting to be able to come up against you. He gives you that authority and power to do that, and gather the wheat into his storehouse, but the chaff he shall burn with unquenchable fire. So understand, he says he's going to make you into a threshing sledge that is going to be able to silence the voices of the enemy that want to raise up against you and bring destruction. And he will flatten those mountains, and he will be able to use you as a threshing floor, as a threshing tool. Because why? He is the one that is going to be able to beat them, and he's going to make hills like chaff. The hills are going to be like that straw that's going to be blown in the wind. Verse 16, you winnow them. The wind lifts them up, and the whirlwind scatters them. But you rejoice in Yahuwah, and boast in the set-apart one of Israel. Understand, when your feet are solid on that rock, when you are standing secure, it doesn't matter what wind, what gust of wind comes along. You see, all those that have not built their house on a solid foundation, that are standing on the foundation of his Torah, that are standing on the foundation of this word from Genesis to Revelation, if you are not standing on that, the storm is going to come, and you will become like the chaff that's going to be blown in the wind. But if you've made sure that you've put your feet solid on the rock of Yahushua, the one who's the author and the finisher of your faith, the one who's the Aleph and the Tav, and he's the one that is the Aleph, Abba Yahuwah is the Aleph, Yahushua is the Tav, and together they hold us together in them securely. We are held together securely by them. Then there's nothing that is going to come. The wind is going to come, but everything around us will be blown with the wind, but we will stand strong. When the poor and the needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue have failed for thirst, I, Yahuwah, do answer them. I, Alua of Israel, do not forsake them. So are you one who is thirsty? Are you one that is thirsty for him? Are you one that is thirsty looking for the presence of the Father, then I want you to know that he says, if you are poor and you are needy and you are in that place, continue to keep your eyes focused on him. Lift up your eyes to the hills. Where does your help come from? Your help comes from Yahuwah, the creator of the heavens, the Shamayim, and the earth, the Eretz. He's the one that you are going to put your trust and faith in. I open rivers on bare hills and fountains in the midst of the valley. I make a wilderness become a pool of water and a dry land springs of water. You don't need to be able. He will come and quench your thirst. He will come and give you the rivers of living water that flow from his word. The rivers of living water of where you are thirsting in this dry season that you've been in. The time will come when that dry season is going to be able to break, and he will pour these rivers of living water that will flow through from your very belly to be able to give to give water to his thirsty people, because he's the one that is going to be able to fill you, and you are going to drink and drink and drink from those pools of his presence, and you will be filled with the water of his Ruach HaKodesh that is going to fill you with his presence, for you to be able to come and drink from those springs of living water that he's got to give. And I set in the wilderness cedar, acacia, myrtle, oil tree. I place in the desert cypress, pine, box trees tree together, so that they see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of Yahuwah has done this, and the set apart one of Israel has created it. Understand, he's created all. He's the great I am. He's the great creator of all. And we will be able to be in the wilderness. But look at what he provides in the wilderness. He provides a cedar tree, an acacia, a myrtle, an oil tree. He provides the cypress, the pine, the box tree. All these trees will be in the wilderness, a wilderness that's supposed to be only shrubs. He will have those trees planted in the wilderness to give you shade from the heat, so that heat is not going to destroy you in the day, but he will give you that shade for you to be able to come and be covered by him, covered by the shadow of his wing, to be able to take shade from him. Present your case, says Yahuwah. Let your strong ones come near, says the sovereign of Yahuwah. So understand now, he's speaking and he says, Israel was surrounded. You must understand, Israel was surrounded by many enemies. Many of the enemies surrounded them. And still today, Israel is surrounded by all their enemies. They've got threats that come that say they're going to wipe them out. They're going to wipe them out from the face of the earth. And still today, their enemies surround them. And these enemies that surrounded them from these many nations, they had many gods. So that's why it says, present your case, says Yahuwah. Let your strong ones come near, says the sovereign of Yahuwah. Let them draw near and declare to us what is going to take place. Let them declare the former events, what they were, and we consider them and know the latter end of them, or announce to us what is coming. So now he's saying, so go and consult your little mighty ones. Go and consult your gods. Go and consult your gods with their special powers. Those that say that they're going to give you victory in the battle. Those that tell you that they're going to destroy you and make dust out of you. Go and consult those gods. Let them tell you, what am I about to do? What is going to happen? Can they tell you of the former events? Can they tell you of the events that are to come? I mean, we understand there was this mighty angel in Isaiah chapter 37, a mighty angel of Yahuwah that killed 185,000 men of the Assyrian army. One angel. When the Father decides that he's the one who's going to be able to fight on your behalf. That's why I say, after that, I realized, why am I trying to fight any battle on my own when the Father owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, and I'm trying to figure out where where the finances or where anything is going to come from. He owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. What do we need to worry about? What do we need to worry about having to sit and battle these battles when he's the one who's got these angels that are going to fight on our behalf, and all we need to do is just pray and trust him, and he's the one who's going to fight for us, and we're going to hold our shalom, our peace. And so he says, see, you are of naught. You are of naught. So he says, let them draw near. Declare the events that are going to come hereafter, and we know that you are mighty ones. Yes, do good or do evil, and let us be amazed and see it together. So now the Father's almost making fun of these little mighty ones of theirs, saying, go, do your good, do your evil, show us what you do. Tell us about the things that are going to come. Show us your power. You that have put all these nations of the world, you that have put your trust and your faith in your mighty ones. Let's see what your mighty ones are saying. Let's see what your mighty ones are about to do. Let them tell you of the things that are to come. Let them tell you what is coming. Let them tell you how they think that they are going to be able to fight the battles and come and consume our people. Let them tell you about that. And he says, see, you are of naught, and your work a breath. He who chooses you is an abomination. So you see, all these nations that choose these mighty ones, they are an abomination. I have stirred up one from the north, and he comes, and from rising of the sun he calls on my name, and he comes against the princes as though mortar and potter treads clay. So you see, he is going to bring one from the north. Just like he's speaking now, he was going to bring one from the north that was going to be the king of Babylon, that was going to come from the north, and he was going to bring much destruction. But understand, he's saying also that I have stood up from one from the north, and he comes from the rising of the sun. He calls on my name. So for the ones that are going to come, and they're going to call on his name, and he comes against princes as though mortar at the potter treads clay. So he's speaking about the future king that's going to come of Babylon, that he is going to raise up, and he's going to be able to call on his name. Eventually, he does call on his name. Who has declared from the beginning, and we know, and former times, and we say, he is righteous. No one is declaring. No one is proclaiming. No one is hearing your words. So you see, he's saying, no one is going to hear the words of these mighty ones. No one is going to listen to these mighty ones. Because why? Abba Yahuwah is about to show himself strong. Abba Yahuwah is about to declare to the heavens, declare to the nations around them, to show them who is the mighty Yah of the land of Israel, of the people of Israel, of his people. They are about to see. Every time Abba Yahuwah wanted to show himself strong on behalf of his people, to be an example to the nations that he is the only mighty one. There is no other little God that they can put their trust and their faith in. He who is first says to Zion, see them, and to Jerusalem I give one who brings good news. And I see that there is no man, and of these there is no counselor, who, when I ask of them, answer a word. So you see, they can't answer a word. Like he's saying, how can you take counsel from these little mighty ones that you have put your trust and your faith in? How can you go and take counsel of them? See, all of them are useless. Their works are naught. Their molded images are wind and confusion. And so he's saying, where do they make the heavens roar? Where do they show themselves? Like, I'm just thinking, where will they make the heavens roar? Where will they show the lightning and the thunder and make the heavens roar? These little mighty ones, they cannot speak. And so if we have a look at Jeremiah chapter 10 verses 5, have a look and see. Let's just look and see from verses 10, verse 1. I just want to read from verse 1. Hear the word of Yahuwah, speak to your house of Israel. Thus says Yahuwah, do not learn the way of the nations. Do not be awed by the signs of the heavens, for the nations are awed by them. So you see, do not be awed by these things, the signs that are going to come. Do not be awed by these things, for the laws of these people are worthless. For one cuts a tree from the forest, work for the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool. They beautify it with silver and gold. They strengthen it with nails and hammers, so that it does not topple. They are like a rounded post, and they do not speak. They have to be carried, because they do not walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they do no evil, nor is it in them to do any good. There is none like you, O Yahuwah. You are great, and great is your name, Yahuwah in might. Great is the name. Which name? The name of Yahuwah in might. There is none like Yahuwah. And why do people want to put their trust and their faith in their mighty ones? What are you wanting to put your trust and your faith in? What are you looking to be able to help you in your time of need? What are you looking to? What are you putting your faith and your trust in? Is it maybe in your job? Is it maybe in your career? Is it in your job, your career? Is it in your money? Is it in your military power? Is it in your government? What are you putting your trust and your faith in this time? Are you putting your trust and your faith in the little empires maybe that you've built for yourself? What are you putting your trust and your faith in? There is nothing else that you can put your trust and your faith in but in Him alone. Are you putting your trust and your faith in your own arm of the flesh? Are you looking to people to be able to come and deliver you from where you are? I tell you now, there is no one else that you can put your trust and your faith in except in Him. Because I tell you something, when the heavens start to roar, when you see the lightning and the thunder, there is no one like Him. He's the one that will roar in the heavens for you to know that He's the only one trustworthy for you to put your trust and your faith in, because He's alive. He is alive. He is the creator of all. And we are to lift up our eyes and put our trust and our faith in Him and Him alone. May Abba Yahuwah bless you all. Shalom, shalom.